Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Hope you're good, hope you're well. It's 6 p.m. in the UK. It's Thursday's Evening Brews. Well, welcome everybody to an action-packed, news-full Evening Brews, and with me tonight I've got someone I think's making their debut on Evening Brews, certainly not on the channel, someone I haven't had the pleasure of streaming with for a good little while. It's Nick, Barry, Sean, Phil, Grant. They are going to put on a show for you. Collison, how are we, sir?
Well, I'm all right until I saw Ryan's message, so anyone wants to Ryan, you want to talk about Conor Gallagher, mate?
Yeah, he's setting himself up for fun. He's setting himself up for punishment.
No, I'm obviously devastated after the news of Tottenham's greatest right back being sold, and let's just say he got the welcome that he deserved at Milan.
That was insane.
I don't actually think he knew what was going on, if I'm honest, because he was stood on the sideline and I was watching it and I was going, surely there's a point. Does he go on the pitch? Does he not go on the pitch? And he was looking up at the screen. So yeah, look, it's a shame, but we move.
We do move.
I'd like to say, so we move.
And I will say at the end of the show, Nick hasn't seen it yet, but me and Nick had a bet on Ben Kaufman's coffee show that if he stayed or if he went, one of us had to recreate a Emerson TikTok to go on Tottenham on Tour's TikTok. And at the end of the show, I will be revealing which one Nick has got to do. So before we go any further, let's just say hello to everyone in the buildings. Channel member Tweaky, good evening to you. Eugene, another channel member, big up to you. Ethan, good to see you. Lee Harvey, channel member, good to see you. Andrew Gregory, good to see you. What the fuck is Ange? Good to see you. Just a Harmless Potato, channel member. A guy that likes to lose bets. And people in glass houses should not be throwing stones. So you've got yours coming to you and you know it, right? Gary Wellesby, good evening to you. We will be discussing Bissouma. It will be discussed. Graham spoke to you earlier today. Always a pleasure to see you, my buddy. Just a Harmless Potato. I've already said hello to him. Eugene, Zvi, Shalom, Manishmachi. Question already from Just a Harmless Potato. Channel member and James Flower. Big up, my man. Sean is in the building. Good evening to you. Donley is going to be the first topic of conversation. Who else we got? We've got Tom Birds, big up to you. Paul Russell, big up to you. Angus, big up to you, channel member. Another channel member in Max Lyon. Another channel member in Mark Cousins. Another channel member in Stuart727. We have David in the house. We have Alex in the house. Right. That's the register done. Let's get into it, Nick. Now, obviously, news broke very, very early this morning. We've had Alistair Gold saying that this could be a possibility, and then Paul O'Keefe confirmed it. Sean Slater's favourite man, Jamie Donley, has signed a new 4-year deal with Tottenham, but is heading out to loan to Leyton Orient. Now, Nick, I want your thoughts on it, but most importantly, we got a lot of fans, and rightfully so, saying that they were really looking forward to seeing the young guns and getting their chance at Tottenham, and they're going to take over, or not take over, but have a big part. Well, the ones that we thought are going out on loan, aren't they?
Yeah, look, I think there was a lot of noise around. Are they going to get their opportunity? A lot of opportunity. Let's just say in pre-season. I mean, obviously there was the Copa America, there was obviously the Euros, and there was time around that. But look, I think I think like with everything, I think if they're going out, they need to play. I don't think it can be they're going there, they start there, the manager gets sacked, they then don't play, like what happened with Dane Scarlett at Portsmouth. Obviously, Ashley Phillips and went down to Plymouth, and then started well, but then they're in a relegation dogfight, and then they got dropped. So they need to I guess, stamp their authority, and it's going to be very hard for. I mean, not so hard, I guess, for Jamie Donley, more so Dane Scarlett at Oxford, because Matty Phillips is there from West Brom. So look, they just need to. They need to have game time. They need to not just have 2 or 3 good games. They need to be ones that contribute. We ideally want to see, I guess 20 goals and assists combined for Jamie Donley, for Leighton Orient. And all of the young kids that have gone out on loan, because otherwise we'll just keep doing what we're doing, and eventually we might get a Harry Kane, but that's once every 20 years, right? So it's I think it's just we just need them to have game time, and to obviously there is a plan. He has signed a new deal, but whether that transpires like with the Troy Parrots, the Tangangas, it's transpired and then it's not really. So
you're right. I mean, are you surprised? This one, I thought he would have gone Championship. He's gone to League One. Are you surprised he's gone Championship? I mean, League One. People in the chat, are you surprised he's gone League One, or do you reckon that's a good place for him to start?
I think. Look, for him, I think it's probably good. I mean, if you look at it, I know Leighton Orient are also interested in Josh Keeley, who was on loan at Barnet last season. So obviously Barnet National League, then to League One. That's obviously a good. That seems like that's a plan. So yeah, I think when you look at it, what we don't want to do is for him to, God forbid, get an injury, a bad injury, and then he then does he falls on that similar line of what Troy Parrott did and went to MK Dons, and then it didn't really work out, or a Jack Clark, and I think it's good. He's going to get more game time, I think, with being in League One than he would have necessarily done in the Championship. But I think it's probably, let's just say it's probably his level, and he's gone there. They've lost their first game, so I guess he can't lose anything. So, but I guess like what Rico says, he could do what happened last season and go to League One and then go up to the Championship in
Alfie
in January, like Alfie Devine did. But I think it's a good start for him. Let's just say
it is, and like I said, I think that's exactly what it'll be. He'll go. Here is his number one fan. Exactly, a couple of people said that. I think that's got to be the way. He'll go out, get first team minutes. It's very, very local, so Spurs will be keeping a very, very close eye on him. Spurs have a very good connection with them. So we shall see what happens to Jamie Donley. Right, let's go on to the next one. Now, guys, we're going to have this discussion, and I know this discussion brings up a lot of now. What I will say, there's 86 in here. I'm sure more will join. This conversation we're going to have, one of the greatest things we love at Tottenham on Tour is how respectful people are in the chat, on the content, the people on the show, and you guys in the chat. And I know this one has been causing controversy. So we are going to have this discussion, and we are going to talk about it. But as I said about you guys, just want to say thank you to you guys, because Tottenham on Tour hit another milestone yesterday, got to the next 100 subscribers. We're up to 8,700. The march to 9,000 is on. I think we've grown about 300 subscribers in 2 weeks, so thank you all. But we're going to have this conversation now. So, Ange Postecoglou on suspending Yves Bissouma for Monday's game. There's some trust building to do between Biss and me, and Biss and the group. Right, Nick, where do you stand on the whole Bissouma? Because I haven't spoken to you probably about where are you on the actual what he's done, how Spurs have handled it, and what you're making of the one game ban.
I mean, what he's done is ridiculously stupid. I think if we learnt from previous things that have happened with previous players, it's ill judgment, ill timing. It's around the people that surrounding him and giving him advice. So this is like a very shades of Dele Alli after what happened with what he came out and said. I guess in terms of where I stand, I think he's very lucky because if you did that in any other job, you would probably have lost your job. What was the third question?
Well, about the 1 game ban.
Oh, okay. So yeah, the 1 game ban. Look, it's 1 game at the moment. And Ange was very. I mean, you looked in your eyes. Those are the types of the way that he said it. He said it very diplomatically.
Yeah.
But you can tell it's almost like if you'd done something wrong when you were a kid, and your dad was telling you off, or your mum was telling you off, you knew you were in trouble. So it could be 1, it could be more. It depends how quickly he wins the trust back of the group and Ange. And also, I think, and probably people will say this in the chat, but just to kind of mention it and then kind of do it, it's a lack of inconsistency. Because obviously we all know what happened with Bentancur.
Yep.
So I think there's no consistency there. And I can understand, why people are obviously up in arms with where's the consistency, because I don't think now you can realistically go back to what happened with Bentancur, because they've acted on this so quickly, but they didn't really act. They put out a statement and said it would be dealt with in-house.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe we need to trust that the club has done the investigations in the same vein as for both of them, and that's what they've decided. So look, we're not privy, like with everything. There will be some people that love a player, don't love a player, love a transfer, don't love a transfer. And we're not privy to those conversations and everything that's gone on. It's just, I think you're going into a new season, everyone's together, and it's just the wrong time to. Timing is everything with Spurs, and we always tend to get the timing wrong. Something always seems to happen, right?
Correct.
So that I guess it follows a pattern. So it's just, timing is like an injury or a decision on the pitch or whatever happens. It always tends to kind of go our way or go against us. But on a positive front, there isn't hopefully a question around who's playing in that midfield now, because it was a Bergvall or Maddison. Well, now it's not really a conversation. It should be both, really. Or is it a Gray and Bergvall instead of a Bergvall or Maddison? So I guess it's an opportunity for whoever comes in to say, I'm going to take this opportunity, because again, in the past, when we've been fourth and we can cement top 4, or we can do something and go 6 points or 8 points or 9 points away from 5th or 6th and really do things, we never take that opportunity. So I'm hoping that these young players who will be coming in don't have any baggage, they don't have any fear, so they can just play without it, and that hopefully will, it will benefit us. And then actually it's then down to Bissouma to do something to win his place back. And I think that's where the young kids that are going to stay are going to put pressure on those players, the Maddisons, that midfield who we don't actually really know what our best 2 central midfielders are. So it's kind of all to play for.
Yeah, I mean, I for me, this hits me on a different level. I'm going to go into it as well. First of all, you're right. The stupidity to put it on social media. Because who knows, you could have done it a million times before and not put it on social media. That doesn't just go for Bissouma. That goes for any kind of football player or celebrity. They should know what they should and shouldn't put on their social media. Now, for me, I've said it before, that things like this hit me on another level because of my openness about addictions and the way that they have a duty as role models. Now, my nephews have already come up to me. My 12-year-old nephews have really got into football right now and started coming up to me saying, I've seen, or what's this Bissouma did, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, my 12-year-olds are seeing this. This is how far it hits. I mean, I'm only an uncle. I'm not a parent. And I'm not, believe me, this isn't as like seeing them rack up lines of cocaine or on the piss doing something stupid, but they have a responsibility to the club and to themselves and to the people that follow them to do this. Now, Bissouma has had issues before off the pitch. I'm not getting into what they were and how they became. And from what I've been told as well, he's been joking about and turning up late to training. I hope he's got more than 1 game. There's a lot of people saying it should be 1 game. That's it. It's done. He's apologised. Brush it under the carpet. For me, this isn't the first time with him. being in trouble. It's a pattern. And what I will say, Nick, you said about the youngsters, and I got into this discussion. I'll get your views on this as well. When I spoke about the youngsters and how it could influence them, someone turned around and said, Brian, you can look at it that way, or you can look at it the other way, which is all these youngsters, the Mikey Moores, the Donleys, the Divines, or whatever, they've grown up where social media has always been a part of their life. And I would imagine all clubs, not just Tottenham, as soon as social media became what it is part of their training or their coaching as growing up and their teaching. Yeah. Social media, you can do this, you cannot do that. So I would hope the youngsters are already a lot further along trained how to deal with social media and what to do. For me, I think it should be a lot longer than one game. But like you said, the other part of this is they've swept Bentancur under the rug. It's gone quiet. Now, whether they deal with that internally, whether that goes to FIFA, I just don't think either way you look at this, Spurs come out smelling the roses because they've tackled one immediately and not tackled one. And I'm not trying to say one. Listen, I've seen a lot of people say, well, one is deemed illegal and the other is just a really bad social skill, which technically is right. But to me, there's no which one is worse. What are you thinking about the youngsters and social media training, Nick?
Yeah, I think you're right. If you go back to when we were younger, if something happens, it's instant now. It's, someone takes a picture on their camera phone. It wasn't a thumbs up then, so I don't know why the thumbs up came up. Someone takes a picture on their camera phone, and you can instantly share it to the world. Yeah, like many people, you had one phone in the house that was in the hallway or in one place, and if you wanted to go on the internet, you had to drag that massive 5-meter cable up the stairs, plug it in, then someone called, it disconnected, did all these types of things, and I didn't have my first mobile phone until 18 because of everything that's going on and safety and everything else. Most kids 10, 11 have phones now. And it's a scary thing to have that they have access to all of that. So I think, from a club point of view, it's great that they have that coaching, that education, because actually, you see it all the time. Not just, you saw what happened at the Euros when Saka and Rashford and Sancho all missed penalties and what the hate that they got. You see it on kids in WhatsApp groups, and I say to my kids, you're not joining any WhatsApp groups because, it can be screenshotted. It could be this, it could be that, it could be taken out of context. So, yeah, I guess it's a normal way of life now. I mean, sooner or later, everyone will be coming out and they'll have everything implanted. I mean, I remember when Bo, the YouTube slayer, she's 11 now. When she was 5, I walked downstairs one morning and she'd got the iPad and she'd thrown what she was watching on the iPad onto the TV, and I was like, I don't know how to do that. A phone for me is a way of keeping in contact. But there's so many different apps, ways to communicate, do all these things. It's perilously important that the club and everyone around people, the young players particularly, remind them of their responsibility, remind them of what they're doing, remind them, of how to manage it. And if I'm honest, probably the best thing that any of them can do is actually not have it and just go back to having a Nokia 3310 that had Snake on it, and you got excited because you could change the covers on it. Do you know what I mean? That's all we had. We never had pictures. We didn't have anything that we have now. So
it's insane. And I mean, like Scott said, Scott, and big up to you. If Bissouma only gets a 1-game ban, I was trying to explain this to Ryan earlier. What message does it send to football players? And I'm not just talking to the youngsters, I'm not just talking Tottenham, that you can actively break the law and you'll go. I mean, like you said, Nick, you said something behind the scenes before we went live that is very true. He's only said he's banned for this game. He hasn't said, right, he's going to be back in contention for Everton. For all we know, it could be longer.
Yeah.
I don't know what the FA are going to do if they look into it or anything. But footballing, there's a lot of people that are saying, oh, he'll come back bigger, stronger, better. He's been here 2 years now. Antonio Conte has said something about him when he had him, but obviously a lot of people discredit what Conte said because of his style of football, and that's each to their own. Then, obviously, he had the 10 great games last season, went off twice for 2 stupid things, had malaria in the AFCON, so lost his place there or couldn't fulfill his duty there for obvious reasons. Came back, was not on form, but like the rest of the team, didn't really hit form. This guy has had to. Everyone's going, this guy can be great. This guy can be great. I was at the North London Derby at the Filth last season. He was magnificent. He was incredible. On his day, he can be superb. But can you say this isn't a human son who's done it for years? This isn't a player that's been here, done it. This is a guy that's done it for 10 games in 2 years. I mean, if we sold him this window, not that saying that we should or we will, would you be disappointed?
No, I think it's becoming evident that we are signing players that have a good season.
Yep.
Solanke can be brought into that now as well. So, that have a good season, and then we go and sign them, or a Maddison that everyone raves about, but Bissouma as well. But there's a reason why the other big clubs aren't signing these players, and we're all right. Solanke's not a big player, but I know what some people will say. So, oh, you can, but Bissouma for Brighton was a big player. Maddison for Leicester was a big player. But all right, Solanke for Bournemouth was a big player. But you see, there must be a reason why the clubs that are above us, your Arsenals, your Man Cities, your Liverpools, your Man Uniteds, aren't picking these players up. And I think that there must be something in the background where we're not doing as much due diligence that we should be doing, let's just say, because it follows a pattern, and Donley, another one.
Yeah,
anyone can put YouTube clips together and make someone look good. Don't say Emerson Royale in the chat.
The biggest point has just hit me as well. If a player did this under Alex Ferguson's time, it didn't matter how big you are, you're gone. You are out the door. You've brought the club into disrepute, whether it's something minuscule or something huge that happened, like what happened with Beckham, like what happened with Yapstan, like what happened with Tevet. You mess about at the team or bring the club into disrepute. Ta-da, we'll sell you. Whether we do that is we'll see. But we're going to move away from there. Let's just see what happens. Like I said, I will say to everyone in the chat, well done again. I'm so proud of this chat and this community, because I know this conversation could have stirred up mixed feelings, but it's been done very, very well and handled brilliantly within the conversation we've had, and you guys in the chat. And the Mod Father was here just in case. Anyway, this is true as well, Gary. This is true as well. He used to have them when I watched the documentary. He had all the bouncers of all the clubs and everything under his or in his pocket, and literally he used to get messages as soon as they walked through the door. Yeah, Rico, that's not happening. Let's not sell Biss and bring in Gallagher. But let's go on to the next subject. Now, a lot of this, we're moving on to Ange's comments. Now, what he's done his press conferences and everything today. I think it's Premier League Media Day, the eve of the season. So this broke out very early today, and when I saw this, I was like, I don't understand this. I'm going to give my response, Nick, and then let you go, because this concerns me. There's confidence Tottenham squad is physically more prepared to last the course of a grueling season ahead of a season where Ange Postecoglou will be aiming to compete on all fronts despite their burnout from last season. So, guys in the chat, I want your response to this. I'll be bringing them up whilst Nick talks. But for me, at the moment, numerically, we're weaker, factually. We're in one more cup competition than we were last season. We have to play, if we go out of all the cups at the first round or the earliest stage, as Craig said, we were playing 10 games, cup games, including the 8 Europa. So that's 7 more games already more in the cup that we did. and we're weaker. I do not understand right here, right now, how in any stretch of the imagination we can be deemed in a physically better place. Nick?
Yeah, look, I mean, first of all, when you were reading it, I was like, that doesn't read very well. A grueling season with this season. Could have maybe put schedule rather than season twice in like 5 words. Yeah, look, I think we are numerically disadvantaged. Let's just say. I know, obviously, from a I think from a homegrown situation we're fine, but from a European trained we're not, or the other way around. I'm not really sure. But it is a problem. I mean, all right. I mean, we're getting further in the League Cup this year. We're going to round 3 rather than going out in round 2. So, and obviously we won't know our opponents for a couple of weeks. But yeah, I kind of see, looking at the schedule, it's very much. I mean, you've seen the Championship, right? The Championship started on Saturday. Then they've got Carling Cup on the Tuesday. Then they're going to have a game this weekend. Then they're going to be playing Tuesday again. Then another game. Then the Carabao Cup if they got through. Then another game. Then another game. And that's what we're going to have. Because we know it's, with the 8 games now, it would have been different. So there's more games in Europa in the table, the round robin or whatever that's going to look like. More travelling. We don't know if any games are going to get called off. Then if we do get through, then there's going to be games moved, and we'll have a situation where we'll have a Friday, a Monday, and a Thursday, then a Sunday, maybe, 4 games in like 8 days or something ridiculous. So it's all, it's going to be tough. And if we get the injuries that we get, then it's going to be interesting, because look, we haven't addressed the number 6 position. We haven't really addressed the right-hand side in attack, and we haven't addressed the left back and the left side of defence. And also, if something happens to Vicario, I know that Brandon Austin has done well in pre-season, but Brandon Austin is not filling me with vibes, let's just say. So look, I think that we it all depends, right? I mean, we could go and get Man City in the League Cup 3rd round, or Liverpool, and then get knocked out, right? And then that's done. Yeah. We could then go and get a Manchester United in the FA Cup 3rd round, and then that's done. But knowing Tottenham and knowing the way that we are, we probably won't get that, and then we'll probably get far. It'd be the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup, quarterfinals of the FA Cup, round of 16 in the Europa League, 6 or 7, and then that's what's going to define. And that's where I think, when people are saying where are Spurs going to finish, I actually think we're going to finish lower than we did last year because of all of these factors. Not because it's Ange's 2nd season and everything else, but I also think if we said it now, would you be happy finishing 6th or 7th and winning a trophy? I think everyone would snap your hand off for that right now. So correct. I think we have to see, like with everything, I think we have to see how it plays out and how it goes along. If we don't get through in the knockout stage of Europe, we get knocked out of the FA Cup 3rd round and the League Cup 3rd round, then we're back to where we were last season. So, I don't really understand. Or is the only thing from Ange's point of view is that we actually played some games on pre-season against some better teams than we did last season? Is that the only reason that you can put it? I don't know.
Yeah, no, first of all, Perky 1980, you asked me the question if I'm going to the Everton game. If you meant at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, first of all, I'll still be in Toronto, so that's a definite no. And even if I was, I won't step foot in the Levy Bowl. I will go to away games, just not home games. But if you meant the Scotland Yard, because you're in Toronto, then yes, 100% I will be there. And I will say a very, very, very dear friend of mine, Mr. Wayne Holland, is in the building, and I just want to wish his uncle a very speedy recovery. So I hope he is better, Wayne, and sending my thoughts. Yeah, like I said to you, when it comes to being physically fitter, I don't understand that statement. Those are the kind of statements. I'm backing Ange. I'm with Ange. But there's some statements that are being said, whether they're being misinterpreted and we're being reworded by this, because I haven't actually seen him say that from his own lips. I don't understand. He said that.
Yeah, I think you're right, but I don't think it's not like it's a Conte or a Jose or a Nuno.
Exactly, where the language
translation issue. It's no. Yeah.
I will say very quickly, we're halfway through the show. We might go longer than an hour. Because there's a lot to talk about his comments. But I will say, not every half hour I say this is the one time we do it, the halftime team talk. Guys, you've helped this channel get so much more views, more likes, more interaction, everything. And it's all because of you guys doing these two things, either liking the show or subscribing to the channel and sharing and pushing it out there. We've got a lot coming your way this season. The return of Ange Management is back next week. And I just realised I said that in exactly the same tone as Ben Daniel does when he announces something. But yeah, we will. It's all thanks to you. So if you can like and subscribe to the channel, it'll be brilliant. We have a super chat from my man Max. We've got our Tottenham back with Levy. Yeah, well, as people know, my feelings towards the ownership, and I will be reviewing my feelings 1 minute after the transfer deadline closes. Big up, I haven't seen this name before. Big up, Casey, all the way over in America. Good to see you, buddy. Right, more Ange comments. Now, this one from the last word on Spurs is direct from Ange Postecoglou on targets for the new season. People may have read this, but I'm going to read these out, Nick, and we'll go over it.
Yeah.
Okay, so every season with the same kind of target of trying to be successful, the starting point for us is improvement in our football, improvement in the consistency of our football. As you said, we had decent season last year. We certainly proved on the season last year in terms of results alone. Obviously, we changed the football. We had some really good moments and some moments where we had to work really hard to get some results. And probably the back end of last season was disappointing for us. There's a lot in there, but for us, if we can get an improvement in that and more consistency, gives us opportunities and a platform to try and achieve something, which is what you have to do going into every season. Nick, I'm going to leave that up there for a bit because it's a lot to digest. So what do you make of that?
Yeah, look, I think, if we had Ange said at the start of his tenure that there's going to be some bumps in the road. And I think we all saw that towards the end of last season with the injuries and the results and everything else. I think if we had finished the season as we started it and it flipped the way around, I think there wouldn't have been as so much, I guess, focus, pressure, anger, whatever you want to call it, towards what's going on. Did we have a decent season? If you look at what we did, we improved, yes. Did we improve the football? Potentially, but after those 10 games, obviously everyone kind of found us out. And I think that is the big thing that we need to try and do. Because if we go in, we've seen it in pre-season, we haven't learnt about set pieces. Teams know how to work us out. They know how to beat the press. They know how to exploit, especially when, Porro, and obviously we haven't seen Udogie, and hopefully we see him on Monday night. When they get bombed forward, there's no coverage. That midfield is whoever is there. It doesn't really matter. It's getting, after 60, 70 minutes, it's getting exploited more than it would have done. And teams are coming on and getting late goals or they've already won the game and they don't need to do it. So, look, I think for him, it's fair. It kind of sums up last season, and it was disappointing. And I think it is about consistency, but with consistency, that comes with knowing what your best 11 is. And I don't know what, like I said, I don't know what our best, we know Vicario, Van der Ven, Romero, Porro, Udogie. We know those, that's it. And Sonny. Apart from that, I don't think we really know what's the best on the right, what are the best two in the centre of midfield, who's better in the 10, who's better up front. So, and that comes through injuries. It comes through suspensions. It comes through just a lot out of form. It comes through a lot of things that can go into it, and I think that's why there's so many variables that go into we look forward to this month or that month, or we once the North London derby's done, we're then looking at January and the next North London derby and getting revenge or trying to doing something else. And I just think we got that excitement at the start of last season, and for me that was brilliant because the previous 2-3 years were just awful. But then it regressed and it went back into the same thing where you could see in the stadium, you could see on people's faces, you could just see that actually it wasn't getting better. And in some respects, in some games, it actually got worse from a performance on the pitch, the results on the pitch, and everything else. So I just feel that he can't come out and say, I'm going to go and win an FA Cup, because it could, because what we'll do. Well, Ange says we're going to win the FA Cup and we get knocked out to Leeds United in the Championship, or so, what I mean, something like that, because it's something that can happen, and I just feel that we need to not get ahead of ourselves. This word of patience is not really a word that. Yes, we need patience. We've had a lot of years of patience, and I think we just need to take each competition and each point, because where the games are going to be coming thick and fast, where they weren't at the last season, we had a long time to digress, a long time to analyze, a long time to say, well, this was wrong, that was wrong, this was everything else, and this was. Do you know what I mean? Whereas we're going to have, if we have a bad performance, 3 games in a week, you've got a chance to change that. Either way, it can go either way in those the next 3 games. But I just think that we just need to not live in the moment, but we almost need to see where we go, because otherwise we're going to have some fans getting carried away on the fact, we beat, let's say we beat Arsenal in the North London derby. Oh, well, we're better than Arsenal, we're going to finish above them in the league. Well, hang on a minute, there's a long time to go. And the same could be in the cup competitions. We have a good result, we have a poor result. Are we going to qualify? Are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? So I think it's a very simple thing. And if we go back to Conte and we go back to when we were going for top 4, we always said we're going to take it game by game. And I think if we do that, not only will it help, I guess, all of us as a community, people in the comments and everything else, it will also help us. It will also help us not get so frustrated. I saw a thing today. What was it? It was like 11 hours until 250 million worth of players on a football pitch determine my mood. And football is so reactionary that it can determine anyone's mood. And for some people, it's all they've got. Right? Yep. Tottenham Hotspur is all they've got. And they're affected by it more than maybe some people that can be like, I'm not expecting anything. If we win, we win. I'm going for a nice day out. So I just think for everyone, because I said this at the start of last season, this roller coaster that we always tend to go on, both good and bad, we need to kind of find a middle ground with each other, with each other's fans, and for everyone to be respectful for one another, because I think that's where we let ourselves down, and we don't tend to get the message out that we may need to, that we kind of want to do, if that makes sense. So
yeah, by the way, there's a couple of idiots in the comments. They get around, they have no life, and they like to come into mine, Savs and others, and just put horrific things. As you can see with James McCann, just ignore them. All I will say is when I'm back in London, feel free to come and say it to my face. I'll let you know where I'll be, and let's see what you do then. And And I'll even let you know when I'll be back in London in April. So come and say it to my face rather than on a keyboard thinking you're the big man. Right, back to I'm going to skip that. I will say Graham Hill, a dear friend of mine that's in the chat, you put a super chat in. Thank you very much indeed. You didn't put a comment in. If you put in another comment with whatever you were trying to say, I will bring it up when we do questions at the end. But yes, right, you just gave a spot-on analysis. And it got a lot of praise as you were talking. So what we're going to do, we'll go on to the next one because there are a lot of comments. So Chris Cowling now. This is, again, now what I will say is there's been a load of comments made by Ange, and some Twitter accounts are only showing the positive. Some are highlighting things that have been not so positive. And Chris Cowling has showed all of them. So fair play to Chris again. Regardless what people think of him, people know I've been on this show a couple of times, and he's put a couple out. So I'm going to read it. This is on the Europa League, Nick. So
yeah.
On his Europa League squad, I think you spend far more time trying to work that out than I do, mate. I think we'll be fine. We'll have enough players to play. With those things, if you get caught up in numbers, the idea is to have a strong enough squad to compete in everything we want to do. You do have to have a balance. You do have to balance it off. But with the squad we have at the moment and a balance of what we're trying to do, I still feel we are in a good place to be able to field a strong team and abide by the guidelines. Nick, I'm going to hand it over to you again because with the Europa League, this is the issue, isn't it? This is where I would have liked to have seen if a Donley stayed, if a Divine stays, which I don't think he will. This is where I'd have liked to have seen them play. But what do you reckon we're going to do when it comes to Europa League?
I think, look, I think for me, like with everything to do with football, it's got too complicated.
Yeah.
It's got too complicated with financial fair play, for PSR. I'm sure there'll be some other acronym that they'll decide is going to be for this year. And the same with this, right? All of the leagues in all of the world, there must be a way that they can all come together and say, this is what we want for the quotas. We can't have one league having one, another league having another, then another competition having this, and this competition having that. It's just another minefield of FIFA, UEFA. The right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, and everyone's just trying to get as much money as they possibly can, you know? So
yeah,
I look, sitting here, I've seen multiple messages today. What are the numbers? This is the numbers. We're fine for homegrown. We're not fine for European. We've got too many players for this, too many players for that. I think pretty much what that set sums it up. What was said is complete. You know, everyone is worried about the numbers. Well, does that mean we then do what we did last year and have three? You know, we have Brandon Austin, Alfie Whiteman on there because we need to show homegrown quota. Does that mean, and then that takes up a space? Does that mean, you know, the noise around, we'll go back and sign Carl Walker-Peters because he was European club trained, or what? You know, all of it is just it's so confusing. It just doesn't make it easy for football fans to understand what needs to happen. And then that's when it, again, going back to what I was saying before, it causes that divide because it's like, well, no. He's European club trained, or he's homegrown, and he's this, and this person's there till they're 21, and then this person counts for this, and what, depending on what you believe or what you read or everything else. So I think for me, if that's the squad, then that's the squad at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? So I just think that we'll just need to trust that the club and the players know exactly what they're doing. And if they don't, and we make a mistake, you know what? I don't feel I can blame them because I don't really understand it, and I'm sitting here trying to work it out. So it's not that easy. So Yeah, like what dry roasted peanuts in. Next year, you have to have 4 players in the squad with a blood type O positive. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's getting ridiculous, isn't it?
It's getting ridiculous. And I think that all of this is taking away the enjoyment, taking away the love of going to watch football, the reaction, the atmosphere, the mistake. Okay, let's review the game afterwards. If a ref makes a mistake, he's not doing it on purpose, but we need to wait 10 minutes in the stadium not knowing what's going on, you know? And can we celebrate a goal or not celebrate a goal? So there you go. So we just have to, I think, and I would say what Ange wants to do is he goes into every competition aiming to win it, because, you know, that is like with the Olympics, you don't see someone going, well, I'm aiming to come to the Olympics to compete. Now, some people might do that in the smaller countries that don't have the funding, that don't have that, and that's a massive achievement. But most people are going there to win. If you know, and I think that it almost is a, like we were talking about the mobile phones and the generational thing. Yeah, I think that is also what's happened with society and schools and everything else. And I see it with kids, and everyone's taken part. So well done. Whoa. When I was at school, there was winners and there were losers. You can't set up kids for today or sports teams of today going into a game going, that's all right. I took part today. I did well today. And I think, you know, you then go into the big outside world, and they'll sit there and you go to a job and they'll go, oh, you didn't do well on this project, or you didn't do that. And the response, you can just imagine going, yeah, but I was here, wasn't I? I turned up to work today, didn't I? And I always say that when I'm coaching the kids at cricket, and I'll sit there and say that to them. I'll say, guys, there's winners and losers. I said, I'm not a school. I'm not your teacher. I'm not going to pretend that everything is rosy and fluffy. I said, we will have a winner today and we'll have a loser today. And it's as simple as that. You know?
Yeah, and I'm just going to address one more thing from this prick. People like you who want to call me a sellout because I went on Chris Cowden's show, go watch it, where I speak continuously about my hatred for Daniel Levy. You want to call me a sellout? When I am back, and I will be with the guys that protest for Levy out, come and see me, because I'm sure you've been at all the protests. You've flown back from countries abroad. You've arranged them. You've gone on channels and promoted it. I've gone and changed the message, the delivery of it, not the message. So you can carry on with your sellout, your threats, your wanting my address, which when I'm back in London, I will gladly give you. Gladly give you. I'd love to have a roll around in my front garden with you, and we'll see what happens. So I'll leave that there. You can carry on being the fool that you are just behind your keyboard. So Ben and all the mods are doing a great job. Just go get a life, my friend. You spam everybody's chat. You've got no life. This is what you do. Enjoy it. And that's the last I'm going to mention on it. But I will gladly see you when I'm back in the UK, if that's what you want. Right, Nick, we're going to move on to the next one. And I am going to completely ignore. If I don't bring any comments up, buddy, or anyone else, it's just because I'm not going to buy it and look at that fool.
Yeah, it's fine.
So, next one. Ange Postecoglou talking about the transfer window, where I might just have something to say. But who knows, as a sellout, I might not. Ange Postecoglou on the last few weeks of the transfer window. Look, I think while it's open, there's always kind of a little bit of uncertainty about, because there are so many moving parts to it. You know, if it's not just there's outgoings and incomings, as opposed to last year, there was a lot more moving parts. You're working with a sort of smaller spectrum of uncertainty, certainly for me anyway. That's I can plan for the season knowing that the bulk of the work has been done. Whatever we get from here on in is not going to disrupt us too much, both incoming and outgoing. So from that, the perspective, I think I said after the weekend, I still expect there to be activity, but I think the uncertainty factor is a lot less than last year. Nick, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, look, I think the landscape's changed. Like we touched on earlier around the whole financial fair play, PSR, what does it mean? I think, look, Man City haven't signed anyone. I mean, I don't think they need to, but I think now with what's happened with that Oscar Bob, they're going to have to do something. Liverpool haven't signed anyone. Two teams that have and strengthened, Man United and West Ham, have done some really good business. So look, I think it's difficult. It's about timing. It's not making excuses. It's not making about excuses for the club, because we should be in a position where we know what our targets are. We know what we need to do. You know, from an outgoing point of view, I think we've done incredibly well, bar one outgoing, obviously. I think that we just need to, what have we got? We've got 15 days and 2 and a bit hours, or whatever it is, 3 and a bit hours on the UK time. It could be a Jonathan David. That seems to be a name that's been brought up a lot. So does that disrupt it? No, not really. What could disrupt it could be something like a Romero going to Real Madrid for 150 million. Do you know what I mean? That would be one that would disrupt it massively. But look, I think there are so many cogs. You just need to look at the whole Conor Gallagher situation and how that was kind of all intertwined. And they say it wasn't intertwined, but it was intertwined. And I guess it's similar to buying a house. If you're in a chain and the chain collapses, it doesn't just affect you; it affects a number of people, right? So I'm not making excuses for the club. Am I underwhelmed by this transfer window? Yes. Am I surprised? No, because we've seen it time and time again. I saw a tweet earlier. The last 10 signings or the last 10 strikers that we've signed have cost £151 million. Well,
yep.
Solanke and Richarlison costing 126 between them. That shows you the other 8 didn't cost a hell of a lot of money. So look, it's timings. It's Tottenham Hotspur.
Yep, it is. It's again this manager. What I don't get with it, and I will just say to people in the chat, and this is a lot. I'm not even mentioning him. It's not Ray. Ray and I have actually sorted everything out. It is not Ray. I know exactly who it is. It's Tottenham Tower, and I know exactly who Tottenham Tower is now. So you've been busted. It's not Ray. Me and Ray have sorted things out. So anyone thinking it was Ray and goes for Ray, it's not him. Okay, I can personally guarantee it's not him. But transfers, it's the same old, isn't it? It's the same old once again, where we hear things, a manager goes into a window and says things are going to be brilliant, things are going to be different. We have a transfer team, and we get here and it hasn't. Now, I'm taking a step back, as I have done the whole window. There's people in here that I had massive falling outs with last season. There's a guy in there called Gary Becks, who I now get on with famously. And we talked, and I'm taking a step back, and I will say that you never know what's going to happen in these 2 weeks. In these 2 weeks, we could have a complete couple of marquee signings coming. This is wishful thinking. Do I think it's going to happen? 2 marquee signs? No, I don't think so. Could one come in? There's definitely going to be some sign. I'm hoping, but it is happening. Yep, I know. There we go. Now he's coming in as the Hotspur hippie. Yep, well done, Tower. So that's where I am with transfers. It's the same shit, but I'm giving it 2 weeks because 2 weeks can be a big difference. But final things we're going to talk about. I'm going to skip this. Oh, yes, Dominic Solanke. So I'm going to read his, then I'm going to read Teddy Sheringham's analysis on it, and we'll talk him. And guys, there are some questions, but after this, what I'm going to do, because of that fall, is we're going to show Nick the TikTok he has to do, and we'll end it there. So Dominic Solanke, Ange Postecoglou, on what he's seen on Dominic Solanke so far, is what we expected. He's a top pro, and he settled it in the dressing room really. He settled in the dressing room really well. Football-wise, you can see he's going to fit in. So far, he's fitted in really well with the group and in training. So now I'm going to read Teddy's. Now, Teddy's is quite a long one. I've had to split in two because then he starts talking about James Maddison. Right, Chris Cowlin again. Former Spurs star Teddy Sheringham on Tottenham signing Dominic Solanke. When Tottenham signed Solanke, I was delighted. That's the kind of signing that I think the club needed, and it's something I like to see. He's a player that's coming into his prime as a striker. He'll be 27 in September. He's had a brilliant season at Bournemouth where he scored 19 goals and got 3 assists. Solanke has qualities that I like. He's not a big, typical centre-forward that bullies players with strength. He's cuter than that. I think he'll develop into an even better player under Postecoglou, and you would expect him to score some more goals in a Tottenham side that creates plenty more chances than he did at Bournemouth. He played well against Spurs for Bournemouth last season, and obviously noticed that. I'm excited because I'm excited for the fans because they needed someone to finish a lot of the good football from last year, and I'm pleased, and I love it when he says this, that we've bought him. The fact that he still addresses us as we've. Yeah. In before the season starts. Solanke's signing is a massive boost to the club hopes of challenging for the title this season. A little bit wary of that one, but they're certainly going to be the aim. And then he goes, hopefully fire us the Champions League. Then he talks about James Maddison, and then he comes back to Solanke. I also want to see what Solanke's arrival does for James Maddison's game. They're obviously good mates. They played in England youth, and I think that's a key relationship for Tottenham this season. Solanke could be the perfect foil for Maddison. I can see Maddison creating a lot of things for Solanke, and he would have been waiting for the club to sign a top striker that can finish his cute little balls off. Now, I love Teddy Sheringham and everything he stands for, but this next paragraph is hysterical. The signing of Solanke is a bit like when the club signed Jurgen Klinsmann to replace me. I can't even finish off without laughing. It was a big one, and I hope that it gives everyone a massive lift at the football club. If Solanke starts finishing all the chances that Maddison create for him, then all of a sudden everyone will be talking about Maddison and England again. Now, I will say once again, saying that signing Solanke is like signing Jurgen Klinsmann is kind of one of those where I would imagine he's saying, I can't believe I said that. But where are you on Solanke, Ange's and Sheringham's thoughts?
We will have to see what happens on the pitch. I know a lot of people have said, oh, he's on both sides. He's a one-season wonder. And there's that side of it. A lot of other people saying it's exactly what Tottenham need. So look, like with everything, talk is cheap, and actions speak louder than words. And I think that's what we need to. I think that's what we need to wait for. Yeah, and that bit about Klinsmann. That's even more shameless than me saying Emerson's better than Cafu. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, don't get me wrong. Teddy's excited. I mean, Teddy knows more about strikers and finishing and players than I ever will. Where are you with Solanke? Are you happy we got him, or are you like, oh my God, that's 65 mil? Where are you on the Solanke train?
Look, I think there was two probably choices, right? Or maybe three, but the two obvious choices, if we're looking at English players, is Ivan Toney and Dominic Solanke. Yeah. I think we would have potentially done better by getting someone like Toney over Solanke, but I can understand why we didn't, based on what happened, based on some of the stuff he said over the summer with Gareth not playing him only playing him for 5 minutes, and how that may disrupt disrupt the dressing room, disrupt the group. And like we've seen with the way that Ange has been, giving people responsibility, having the group together. When he spoke about everything today, it's about the group, trust in the group, trust. The words that he's using are very, very kind of motivational. If you have someone like that's going to come in, for me, I want to see what he does. If he scores 19 goals, then that's great. But I want to see 25 plus, and then people might start saying That was actually a good bit of business. Like I said earlier, it's about the time, day by day, game by game, week by week. You don't know what's going to happen. Could be another. Comes on, does his ACL. We don't see him again, and then we're like, wow, that was a great. So it's timing, it's opportunity, it's everything else that kind of comes with it. I will wait and see, like you've said, you're going to wait and see about the transfer window. I almost going to wait and see game by game and where we get to in the competitions, because when we do game by game and we get to competitions, we don't get too carried away on both ways, either positive or negative. And we see where we are and where we get to. So I think that's probably the best way. Yeah, I know like some people are excited. I know some people are disappointed, and that's obviously their right. But I just think, let's just see. The proof will be in the pudding. The proof will be at Everton at home. If he bangs a hat trick, then bangs another hat trick, then bangs another hat trick. You know, I've said this about other players. You know, we like to compare. You know, who would you have, Son or Saka? And everyone goes, Son. And then the Arsenal fans will come in and they'll say, oh, but Saka's done this and Saka's that. Saka, again, is another player. He needs to do it more consistently. He needs to do, he doesn't, you know, turn up in big games. Don't go missing. Don't limp on the 80-something minute where everyone's having a bet, you know, when he's going to limp. So I think, like with all of his, it's about consistency. It's about delivering on the pitch. And that's the only time we can rate him, and then we can see at the end of the window, end of January. Let's judge him for those games. A bit like when you do anger management, you're not talking about the game that's gone or the game in the future. You're giving analysis on that game.
Correct.
You can only really be able to give analysis, you know, because you know what's going to happen if he starts well. I told you it was a good signing, or if he starts badly, I told you he was rubbish. So we need to get away from that kind of I told you so mentality, and let's just wait and see and then review it first month. What do you think of his first month? Did well against this team, didn't do so well against this team, missed some chances, everything else. Well, next month, or however people want to quantify it and everything else, right? But I think if we start doing it after one game, 2 games, you know, it goes back to what we were saying about Jamie Donley. 1 or 2 good games for Leyton Orient. We can't start gassing up the kid. Same with Bergvall, same with Gray, same with Mikey Moore, same with Lancashire. We can't keep going over the top. So
I have to say, first of all, I saw Gary mention a question, and I'll answer it. Do you know where I am right now? I am 100% fully on board the Solanke Express. I actually think he's going to be a huge success. I honestly, based on what I've seen, as in the detailed analysis, not the looking at the stats, I honestly think we may have pulled a blinder. Obviously, the value is up for but it's not my money. Talking of money, another person who has been spending money like clockwork this month supporting the channel is Peter, giving another membership to someone. So if you became a member or were gifted the membership, say thank you to Peter. See why the haters want to hate. We keep growing. So look who's winning there. Like I said, Solanke is the one that I think we've played a blinder. But now we've come. This is the bit that.
Hang on. There was a tweet that you missed about Ange talking about Emerson. Did you not?
No, that's gone. That's gone.
He's a great super guy, great pro, really popular amongst the group.
Go on, you read it.
A great guy.
Go on.
He didn't play a lot last year in his preferred position, but you wouldn't know it the way he trained every day. He is the hardest worker at training and a really top guy. He is a guy you would want to spend time with, a big heart, loved by all, and I think it's a fantastic move for him. He will love Milan. It's a big club that he's gone to, and it's one of those things that happen in football where it's not really an aspersion on him that he's not part of this. It's just other things aligned. I think it's a win for him, and it allows us to continue rebuilding the squad in the way that we want. Never a truer word said.
So never a truer word has been said, but people will know that I make silly bets with silly people. And when I say that, we just do it for a bit of fun. There's no money. I have Ryan Isaacs that won or lost many bets against me. And on Ben's Coffee channel, we had a bet that Emerson will go to Milan or Emerson will stay at Spurs by the time the window shuts. obviously, he's gone. And the fourth bit was whoever lost would have to recreate an Emerson TikTok and put it on our TikTok. So I've gone through the TikToks and I'm going to show you that the music is muted because obviously...
I tell you what, Brian, you would have seen those TikToks. They must have made you laugh, surely.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. They're brilliant. They're brilliant. Now, the one I'm going to do, I said to you behind the scenes, you haven't seen it yet. I don't expect you to recreate this dance, but it is a 38-second TikTok where you need to dance for that time. I don't expect you to do it on this exact high road, but this isn't just in your bedroom or... We said recreate, so you need to do this on a high road during the day, and basically you need to do this.
Okay.
On a busy high road. I went easy on you. And I can just see you doing this.
That looks like Westminster Bridge.
Well, funny enough, there's Big Ben right behind him, which you'll see in a second. I don't expect you to go to West. Maybe you should do it. Are you going to the Everton game?
Yeah.
Maybe you should do it on Tottenham High Road. So that's what you're going to have to do on a high road. Yeah, I know you're a man of your word and you will do it. So I'm happy to see it. But that is what you're going to see. Nick, I'm going to wrap it up there so the troll can go play with his sock and watch some porn rather than doing what he's doing here. Where can people find you if they want to find you?
If you want to find me, I'll be at Leicester on Monday. I warn you now, I don't have a good record with away games. So if anyone's sitting there thinking Leicester is a shoo-in for 3 points, I'm going to be there. I've only witnessed us beat Leeds away on the final day of the season 2 years ago. And the haircut will be there for the North London derby, Mark. So the haircut is coming. And I will do it. Or maybe it should be the North London derby because I have the haircut as well, right? For the dance. And we haven't got long to wait because it's only a month away. So yeah, you can find me at Leicester. I'll be there for Everton, and I'll just be popping up here, there, and everywhere. So, or you can find me at the gym or the swimming pool. If
congratulations, but congratulations on your miraculous and hard work to be losing weight and everything. You look incredible. I have to say, you look really, I'm without condescending, very proud of what you've achieved, buddy. Really, really proud. But I will say, Phil P, I'm not in my sauna. This is the Wood Effect bedroom. That's all I'm going to say. So many people say it. I wish it was a sauna. But I will say, guys, everyone in the chat, apart from one person, thank you very much for being part of it. We will be back tomorrow with the fan show. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, Levy out. Tottenham.